You are listening to the Techie Leadership Show with Bogdan and Andrei.
Hello and welcome to the Techie Leadership Show. Today with me I have Richar Ruiz. He's a psychologist, coach, consultant, and author. He worked as a sales manager in several countries like Venezuela, Mexico, El Salvador, and Costa Rica. After that, he switched to the academic world, working as a director of leadership center at the Universidad Americana in Paraguay. At the moment, he is working as a mental coach for a professional soccer team and does independent consulting and coaching. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Andrei.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on the show. I'm really curious to listen to your stories and your insights, especially after working with a professional soccer team. You get really involved in in leadership there.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to share a little bit of a story related to leadership within the football context.
Awesome. Before that, do you want to add anything else about yourself?
My name is Richard Ruiz. I am 40 years old. I am from Colombia. I have lived in several countries, and since 2009, I live in Paraguay. Prior to working in the psychology and coaching field, I worked in sales within a publishing company from Spain. This company had the headquarters in Venezuela. This was an amazing time in my life because in spite of being very young, I was given many opportunities to meet the other countries.
Good.
While I was in Mexico as a manager, I began to study leadership very thoroughly. Then I arrived to Paraguay with a consultant training group, then worked 6 years as a leadership director at a university. In that university, I got my degree in psychology, then did a master's degree in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And since 2015, I have been working mainly as a soft skills trainer.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds really good. Cannot wait, especially to make a little teaser about the story with the soccer team, the leadership story of the soccer team.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
And I hope that's the success story because we're starting with that one. So, what is the biggest leadership success story you've witnessed personally?
Well, that's really a great question because when it comes to inspirational leadership stories, it always comes to my mind people like Shackleton. I don't know if you have read or you know about the Ernest Shackleton story. In 1915, he saved all his crew from one of the most cruel and difficult environment you can ever imagine. Well, that's a success story. Ernest Shackleton's story. There are other two characters that I like a lot, and one is Dwight Eisenhower. Why? Because he had to lead among the most VUCA, you know the term VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity.
Okay.
He had to lead in that environment among the most powerful and difficult leaders of the time, Churchill, Montgomery, Stalin, and the like. Other story is the Kennedy in the Solomon Island. because when you understand that story, then or when you know about this story, that story of Kennedy in Solomon Island, you understand his behavior several years, um, fast forward several years, when he is in the midst of the missile crisis with Cuba.
And
But
what's the story
regarding
with Kennedy?
the
You
well,
mean just
that's
curious? Was
well, he was the commander of some kind of boats called PT boats,
okay?
and he was the commander. It's like a small boat in the he he was sent in as a commander in a mission in the Pacific. But he had a very uh, um, let's say dictatorial, reckless commander.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It's, yeah, someone who just somebody say it is said that you have to use a carrot and a stick. Well, this guy
Yes,
didn't use the carrot, just the stick. And you
just
have
the stick.
to,
Okay,
yeah, attack, attack, attack. So this commander sent him in a suicide mission, and they were attacked. Kennedy almost got killed. They swim and to the shore, to the nearest shore. They
yeah,
got to
I
the
guess the
beach.
Solomon Islands.
Yeah, to the Solomon Islands, and they were considered dead. And he was able to, sort of write a message in a coconut, and
Okay,
they sent this message with a native guy, and this guy sent it to the U.S. base, and they were rescued. So what's
okay,
the point here? What's the point? Kennedy sent to a suicide mission by a very bad leader,
yes,
uh, a very reckless leader. Then in 1963, when after the Big Bay disaster,
yes,
uh, Kennedy was faced with after the Big Bay disaster, it came the missiles crisis with
crisis.
Cuba. So after the disaster in Big Bay, the military guys saw the crisis, the missile crisis, as an opportunity to make things even, something like that.
Yes,
So they were pushing Kennedy to attack.
yes,
They were pushing Kennedy. Kennedy attack. We have to attack. We have to attack. So Kennedy reminded of the commander he had in the who had sent him in this suicide mission.
yes,
So he always had this commander in his mind while being as a president, hearing the military guys attack, attack, attack. So Kennedy didn't act on the advice of these guys, and finally the decision was correct to put the island in quarantine. So that is a great example of how the most difficult times in your life have perhaps the biggest lessons that are the foundational
yes.
step for your next level in life. Well, actually, I was not going to to share that story with you, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, but I was curious. It's a really good story, and I learned something new about history. So moving on,
And
what you wanted to see?
Yeah, and you can watch these stories in very detail in a recent documentary from History Channel because this documentary is based exactly on that concept. How the war experiences produce sorry like 10 presidents of the United States. It's really interesting.
Awesome.
Okay, but regarding the question of a success
Right.
story that I had personally witnessed, but it was last year, and I really like to tell about this because
Please go ahead.
when I got to the football team, I was hired, but not as a part of the strategy of the team. No,
Okay.
I was hired because they had to. I mean, it
Ah,
was
okay, interesting.
yeah, it was a mandatory rule for the clubs issued by the Paraguayan Football Association. So they told all the clubs, apart from the doctor, nutritionist, physiologist, you have to have a psychologist in your staff. They said, "What? We don't need a guy like that. We don't need that. Sorry, you have to have that." Okay. So they hired me, and normally in any job, you are given a sort of procedures manual. Okay, this is your
Yes.
job. This is what you have to do. You're going to be measured by this and the like.
Yeah.
And then, well, I was hired. Well, welcome to the team. I was very excited because, oh wow, my dream came true,
I guess,
working in a
yes.
profession. But then I arrived to, well, like to a desert. Okay, what I want to do? And everybody, saw you as a like an alien or a
An
so,
outsider.
yeah, so like the perfect outsider. Well, I have to say that I was lucky because part of the decision of actually 90% of the decision of hiring me was based on the decision of the coach. And the coach is a very at that time was a very famous coach here, and
Okay.
he gave me the confidence. He told me, I believe in this, but I don't see how quite to fit the psychology within within the team. And well, I have to say that he was perhaps the only one who believed in this. And I began
Okay.
to, it was a very bad time because, first of all, I, I know, obviously, I know how to conduct uh, a personal development process with a person and with a team. That is
Yes.
something that I do, and I know how to do it. How to diagnose and how to develop a plan both for individuals and for teams. I mean, that's something that I and any coach knows how to do it. But when I began to approach uh, the players, they began to no, well, so, sort of. I don't need you. I like you, but
Yes.
please, I'm not bad. And I began to no. This is it. High performance psychology. There is no need that you tell me that you're bad. There is nothing bad with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here because this is a highly competitive environment. Well,
Yeah.
and well, for one hand, I wasn't let to do my job. Let's put it this way. I didn't
Yes.
have a space. I didn't have an office. I didn't have absolutely anything. I was like a privileged spectator. I mean, I, I arrived at the trainings and the matches, and I just sit. I did nothing, and to to worsen the situation, the
Okay.
team began to lose very badly.
Oh my God.
So everybody, I mean the board and the people around the team began to say, "What are you here for? What are you
Yeah.
here for? Huh? What's the
Starts
matter with
blaming
this
you.
guy?
Oh my
What's the
God.
matter with these players?" And I just sit quiet, quiet, quiet. But I had been obviously analyzing the dynamics, the
Oh,
relationship.
good.
Uh, since the when I used to arrive at the club, I would go to the locker room. The players are amazing. They are very friendly. They're wonderful people. Always, they were always wonderful with me. But just as
Amazing.
as an acquaintance, as a friend, and
Yes.
not more than that. And but I began to see some patterns that I began to tell myself, these are the reasons this team is not working. And uh, I began to talk to the coach, but uh, in a very, let's say, in a more serious way. And
Yes.
I remember I told him, let me let me do some tests, and I will show you in paper what you have to do with this team. And the wonderful thing is that I conducted the the five these functionalities of a team from Patrick Lencioni.
Okay, I
You
don't know
conduct
that.
that. Yeah, there are five these functions of any team, and with this with that test, you can well show someone if there is lack of trust, lack of conflict, lack of commitment, and there are five measures in that test. So I conducted that, and I showed the coach, well, these are the problems. And I also conducted a sociogram. A
Okay.
sociogram is a tool to show who are the most influential guys and who are the less influential guys.
On the
And then
team, in the
I
group.
showed them, I showed him, these are the problems, and these are the guys, the most influential guys, the least influential guys. If you empower these guys, they are going to solve absolutely everything. Beginning,
Awesome.
beginning with the captain. And this team had great players. The most successful coach as the coach, and one of the best captains of the country. Then why
Ah,
were they
were they
failing?
losing? Yeah.
Okay, why were they losing? And after talking to the coach, I began to work personally with the captain, and I began to tell him, you have to do this. You have people see you this way, they perceive you this way, and he began to. I mean, he wasn't aware of the impact of his leadership in with his teammates.
My
Well, I
God.
didn't know that. For instance, he used to arrive to the locker room and just wave it at them. Hey, hello, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
No more. And I began to tell, no, 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 no. You have to get closer to them. You are the captain. People people need to feel you. And well, we began to make some very subtle adjustments to the dynamics of the team, and we recovered, and we not also recovered, but we began to win, and by several
Yeah.
goals. And at the end,
Nice.
we even qualified for an international tournament this year.
Ha. Now that's a success story.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you this story for two reasons. Because first of all, uh, for me, this is the the triumph of leadership. Because
Yes.
do you know actually I was reading your website, in this initiative that you have
Yes.
is related to the people in the technical fields, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know? Obviously, maybe you already know the famous bicycle metaphor regarding leadership, technical skills, and soft skills. Are
I
you
don't know that metaphor. I don't know it. Please do tell me.
well? You have this bicycle, and you have the bicycle, and you have the front wheel and the back wheel. Okay.
Yes.
So which of the wheels uh, move the bicycle?
The back wheel.
Exactly. The back wheel, the movement begins, sorry, the movement depends on the back wheel.
Yes.
So then what is the front wheel for?
It's for steering.
Exactly, for the steering, directing the movement that is
Right.
generated by the back wheel. Well, the back wheel is your technical knowledge, and the
Yes.
front wheel is your leadership knowledge. The back wheel is the
Ah.
tough skills. Actually, I have in my website a bicycle explaining that. The back wheel is the tough skills, your technical skills, and the front wheel is the soft skills. Actually, I
It's
had
amazing,
a
Richard.
professor. Yeah, I had a professor at the university, and he worked at IBM in the United States. And he told me that in IBM they ask you, okay, Andre, in the future, would you like to be a manager? And
Okay.
obviously, most of
If you
them
say
used to
yes.
tell, yeah, of course, all the perks that come along with such positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but you have to understand that you will have to deal with people.
Yes.
Are you okay with that? And that means energy, passions, transfers of knowledge. And some of them at the end said no, 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 no. And then IBM would tell them, okay, then we're going to prepare you to be a highly technical,
Technical person.
high-paying individual. Yeah, but please remember that maybe in the future your boss is going to be someone who knows or has a less technical knowledge than
Mm.
you. Why? Because the higher you climb, the less importance have the soft skills or technical skills, and the most important skills are the soft skills, the soft skills. So, in this context of soccer, they maybe they didn't realize the importance the leadership has in others. So actually, I drew lessons from that experience. First of all, don't assume leadership is passed on by osmosis. People need to feel
that's
you.
true.
You know, when I talk to the coach, I told him, you know, tell me, coach, tell me one person that you respect the most. That if you have that person within 10 meters, you begin to shake out of respect of that person.
Good question.
And he told me, well, the Pope Francis. Okay.
Yes.
So maybe you would be so impressed that maybe you wouldn't dare to approach him, to talk to him.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, because that's a normal reaction when you respect so much of a person. Maybe even if it is a famous one. So then I asked him, what if it was the other way around? I mean, what if you are sit here and the Pope stands up and approach you? What would be the effect on you? So much profound. Well, you here for these players, most of them were very young. You are like the Pope.
Yeah.
And they are waiting, and they are wanting, they are yearning an interaction, probably a private interaction with you. They are not going to tell you. Yeah, they are not going to, so you have to approach them. Well, these guys almost killed by, actually, at the end, he was hired for a very big team. Actually, he's very famous, but after that tournament,
after all those good results,
good results, exactly, he was hired by a very big team. And but the guys, the players, well, love him. Well, that's the first lesson. Don't assume leadership is passed by osmosis. People need to feel you. Second lesson, when it comes to motivation, did you see or did you watch the movie Monsters University?
Monsters Inc. Or
Monsters Inc. Yes, Monsters Inc. Yeah, sorry, Monsters Inc. Well, do you recall the Mike Wazowski, the character Mike Wazowski? Yeah, the little green guy.
The little green one, yeah. He was really motivated.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to motivation, let Mike Wazowski be the pilot of your team, and let Spock, the Star Trek character, the one who is the Vulcan guy, let him to be the co-pilot. Let be the co-pilot, because obviously you need what I call rational motivation. So you need Mike Wazowski at the forefront, and then as the co-pilot, Spock. And third, play with the seesaw. Do you know the seesaw game?
Yeah, I know.
The seesaw of art and science. What is art? Is the intuition you have when you see. It doesn't seem quite well. Well, that's art. And science is when I conducted the test and showed them the results in a very scientific way. So we need both. We need both. And well,
Sometimes you need to go with your gut, and sometimes you need to go with hard data.
exactly right.
And I love the story because, as you said, like the team, they had the best coach, really amazing players. So it looks like a guaranteed success. But without having leadership and without having the leaders take up the mantle of leadership and doing the job required of a leader to inspire and motivate and help the team grow and get all the potential out, it wasn't happening. They were losing matches and it wasn't going great. And I love the fact that you started by identifying the influencers inside the team and started working your way through them to see the changes you wanted in that team. And that's really powerful,
exactly.
because sometimes the influencers might not want to work with you. And if you spend most of your time working with people that don't have that much influence, you're not going to get the results as fast as you want. So the fastest way is to work with people that are already, they're seen as leaders, but they're not doing the job of a leader, and just coaching them to do more of the correct leadership behaviors. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
And now, Richard, I'm really curious.
That would be like pushing the gas pedal without changing the gears.
Yeah, good metaphor. I like it. And now, Richard, I'm really curious, what would be the biggest leadership failure story you had the unfortunate experience of witnessing?
By far, the Venezuelan case. You know, I live in Venezuela. I lived in Venezuela in 1999 when Hugo Chavez took office. Actually, at that time, he has been like 1 year as president, and by far that's the worst or the best worst example of history, because I think that there is not some country, some leader who has had so much money, resources, and influence like him. Maybe King Solomon or some king from other area. And you know what Venezuela became?
Well, tragedy.
Yeah. To say the least, yes, that tragedy. And that's the best worst example of leadership, when you see everywhere, when you see someone like cultivating a cult of himself, and well, we know all the, it's the same script for all the dictators, and in this case for me is the worst case I have witnessed, because I lived there in two different stages, something to put it this way. From 1991, from 1999 to 2002, and then from 2005 to 2008. And while I have been seeing the decadency of that country out of poor leadership.
And it's exactly the same situation like with the soccer team. They have all the resources. They could be like the Switzerland of South America, based on all the resources they have and everything. But it's something is not working on the leadership level to direct the country on the right path.
Exactly, and they wasted everything, and they are in bankruptcy. And the current president is haunted by the U.S. government. Is a narco country right now. Let's not talk about Venezuela because we are
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to get depressed.
Yes. Let's move on. And Richard, what would be your leadership philosophy?
Well, my leadership philosophy is let me put it this way: put people first, being you among those people. Put people
Ah,
first,
being you.
be you among those people.
And why do you
In
say
other
that?
words,
What put yourself first?
well, because I always, I do psychotherapy, and the most common problems are obviously uh, anxiety and depression. And
Yes.
we used to be so hard on ourselves.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
that's one of the causes of that approach towards us is because familiarity causes contempt. In other words,
Yeah.
the more you see someone, the more you see something,
Yes.
the less value you tend
It
to.
becomes yeah.
Yeah, it becomes pretty normal. That is something that we have to keep in mind mm, when we, for instance, when we are married, when we are in a well, in every it applies all over the place with spouses, with girlfriends, with jobs,
Yes.
because you tend to overlook, let's say, the blessings, the good things. You begin to feel that that's pretty normal. And well, that's another topic. But
Yeah.
the point is, we
And
tend to be so hard on ourselves. And I always do this simple exercise. Let's pretend that someone in your office had made the same mistake. What would you tell them? What would be your reaction? Oh,
ah,
maybe people they always say, oh wow, yeah. Most of the time, I tell them it's okay. It's not so bad. Take it easy. We're going to recover. We're going to do it again.
do better
Don't
next
worry.
time.
So compassion. People are, well, most of the time, in many cases, more compassionate toward others than with them.
Yes.
So
That
when you when you flip everything, I mean, stop treating others well and be so hard on yourself. Do it the other way around. Treat yourself as if you were the other person. Actually, that's very
mm,
powerful.
yeah, it
What,
is.
one of the approaches I like to work is the ACT approach, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. And one of the main techniques of the therapy is cognitive diffusion. Cognitive
Okay.
diffusion, because we
Diffusion.
sometimes tend to think that we are our thoughts, and not.
Yeah.
You are you, and your thoughts are your thoughts.
Ah.
So when you begin to distance from your thoughts, you begin to have a healthy relationship and more compassionate relationship with your thoughts, and you begin to um, filter the good thoughts
Yeah.
from the bad ones.
So the bad
And
one.
when you know that thoughts causes emotion and emotion causes action, with that three dynamics, you begin to really um, be aware, or be careful with what you think, because that causes your emotional state, and that emotional
Yeah.
state determines your attitude. So that's my leadership philosophy. Treat you the way you treat other people, especially after setbacks.
Yeah, and that's something that also I had to learn because I used to be like really hard on myself. Probably I'm still working on the whole process. It's not easy, and seeing value in myself because I was caught off in my career offside by people seeing more value in me than I was seeing in myself. And I like that you also, like when you were talking about getting involved with the soccer team, the head coach saw the value in you, and said, "Hey, if he sees value in me, I should join the team and see how I can
Yeah,
help them." So sometimes we're blind, like to the obvious stuff that the value we can provide to an organization, a situation, whatever we want to do. And even if you're like an expert, let's say, or you can still be blind, you should look in the mirror more often. I
yeah,
love that.
exactly.
And Richard, for aspiring leaders, what would be your top three leadership tips you would have for them?
Well, the first one is be and do first what you want others to be and do. Set the example because we already know that people
Yes.
don't get convinced by what you say rather by what you do. So it
Yeah.
is related with the leadership philosophy we just mentioned. All first, everything first you. Be and do
Yes.
first what you want others be and do.
Go first.
Yeah, you first. The second one, do you know, or did, well, well, my favorite hobby is watch movies, and actually I use a lot of movies
Great.
to explain many concepts. And recently I watched the movie Doctor Sleep. I don't know if you watched
Yeah,
Doctor
I
Sleep.
think I've seen it. I think I've seen it.
Well, Doctor Sleep, well, it's like a horror movie, but within the movie there is a great message. There is this saying that says, "You always watch what you want to watch, or you always see what you want to see."
Want to
I,
see.
I always that's always my approach with movies. I always try to see what I want to see. And in the movie, it is well. Let's put it pretty clear. There are some individuals that have a sort of shine like a gift. Actually, it's a gift,
Yes.
but they call it the shine. And so, there are some dialogues when the guy, for instance, tells the girl, "Don't lose your shine." So that's my second tip. Never lose your shine. And
Oh,
what I mean by that is whatever your gift is, try to uh, polish it by studying. Uh, we are like a pair of shoes. Never lose your shine. Always
yeah.
try to polish it
Take care of your gifts. Yes.
uh, with podcasts like
Yes.
Andre's
Yeah, yeah.
seminars, and as the late Stephen Covey used to say, always sharpen the saw. So never lose your shine. Watch the movie. It's pretty enjoying. And the third tip: be always hungry for mentors, because mentors are like shortcuts. They mentors. What I have found is that
Yes.
mentors are eager to share knowledge, and
Yes.
they always save you a lot of time when you are
Yeah, that's for
willing
sure.
to.
If you listen to them.
Yes.
And I found out from personal experience, sometimes mentor can tell you something and you're still going to do the mistake, but at least you'll spend half the time to solve it after you made the mistake. Then it would have cost you to work through all the scenarios and see like what should you do. Like, okay, I made this mistake. I know I was told to do this in this situation. If I make it, I'll do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And when it comes to polishing your shine and improving, which I love a lot, I'm really curious. What is the book that had the most profound impact on you?
Well, apart from the Bible, uh, apart from that book, the biggest one by far is the values factor. The
Okay.
values factor from Dr. John DeMartini. The values factor. This book is, well, actually, I would dare to say that is the Bible of become a leader in within a very
Bible.
unconventional approach.
Ah,
Why? Because this book helps you to find your telos. Your telos is your highest, most important value in life. Your your reason why you were born in this world. This
nice.
this this book teach you to live according to your values, and when you do that, when you set goals that fit your highest values, you become more resilient, organized, focused,
Awesome.
creative, and you become a leader. You
I love
become
it.
self motivated. Intrinsic motivation sparked from just um, be in contact with your highest value.
Good. And Richard, since you love movies so much, what's a movie that had a great impact on you?
Well, by far, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Shawshank Redemption. Well, because
My favorite movie.
for me, that movie depicts what life is for all of us. Extremely difficult journey and a happy ending.
Yeah. And it's
And
not
and
always fair, but you have to do the best out of the hand you've been dealt.
exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Because we don't choose the cards, just how
Play them.
to play them. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. And Richard, if people want to find out more about you and get in contact with you, where should they go?
Well, I have my web page is Profer. I mean, let me spell it. Is proferr.com. Profer.com. And well, the usual suspects. I mean, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Actually, well, obviously, all of these I used to upload uh, some clips from my conferences and workshops and seminars. Well, obviously they are in Spanish, but well, maybe you can watch them with English subtitles or well,
There's a way.
or
Or
try
we
to
can
learn.
learn a little
Yeah, there
Spanish
is always a
online.
way. Yeah.
And I'm going to put links in the show notes to your website and your social media accounts so people can reach out to you. It's been a pleasure,
Okay.
Richard, having you on the show. I have learned a lot. I have a whole page of notes here.
Okay.
So much appreciated. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Richard.
Well, thank you for this wonderful invitation, and well, congratulations on such a great initiative to help people sharpen their soul.
Yes, thank you very much. And bye-bye.
Bye bye.
That was today's episode. Tune in daily. Rate, like, subscribe, and share, please. Oh, you can find further info and materials in the show notes on techyleadership.com, including links to the guest book recommendations.